Hello, and it's Tuesday night, and I'm so happy to be with you. It's our Principal Cairo broadcast brought to you by the Band of Brothers and DE. And we just have a few announcements before I get to bring the speaker to you. So the meetings are up there. We know that July 16th to the 19th, we're back in Atlanta at the Marriott Perimeter Center. Fall, we're at the Perimeter Center, October 22nd to the 25th. And winter, January 28th to the 31st, we're at the Atlanta Marriott Perimeter Center. I've already marked that on my calendar, so I know I'll be in 2027 on January. Hope you all do that yourselves. And I think the next one, the Connect groups. You can't say it enough. We need each other at DE and when we're home. So I hope you found people within these groups that you're communicating with. If not, let us know. We'll help. They're there for you. I'm there for you. Now, speaking of going to DE, the new thing we want to talk about, which we've had for a while, is that it's much cheaper to attend DEs if you become a member. And the membership dues are $129 a month for the DC, and the associate DC in an office is only $65 a month. But it's not only that you get your meeting at a better price. The things that you get to do and listen to are old meetings, and there are some great speakers that you can listen to that have been on our platform over the years. So it's time to announce our speaker. Our speaker practices in Utah, but she's a New York gal who likes the outdoors, and Utah gives her everything she needs. And I've seen her over the years at DE, but this time she was around me a lot. And I finally just sat down and said, I think I know you. And she said, yeah, I've been coming a long time. So I want you to meet and listen to Dr. Suzanne from Utah. Take it away, Dr. Suzanne.
Well, hello, DE friends. I'm Dr. Suzanne Cronin. I practice in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I have been coming to DE since 2006. I was a student when I started. And it's been an incredible experience. I've made many friends, very close friends, amazing people. It's changed me over the years. It's taught me so much. So I want to talk a little bit about just who I am, the story of how I got to chiropractic. I think it's kind of interesting and sort of divine in a way. And then I'll talk about some things I've learned over the years and share some testimonials for you guys as well. So I went to Life University, started 2006, graduated 2009. And well, first, I just actually want to thank Dee. Thank you for asking me to speak. This is amazing. And I wanted to thank my team too. So Sarah is my CA. She's awesome. She's fired up on chiropractic. She's been with me since it's been 11 years, going on 12, which is amazing. She's one of my closest friends, and I really appreciate her. And Dr. Perry is a new chiropractor. She graduated from Sherman, and she joined the practice in October, and she is learning the ropes and understanding what chiropractic is, how to serve the principal so that she can open up her own principal practice in the future. So the way I got into chiropractic, or how chiropractic found me, I've been adjusting my dad since I was 9 years old. And I know that sounds funny, but that's the truth. He was a big advocate for chiropractic. He was a big athlete. So he played football, he played baseball, and he used to lay on the floor in our living room, and he used to say, Suzanne, just sit on me and push. And I was just like, okay. So I sat on him and I would push. And he told me, he's just like, you have a good set of hands. He's like, that's what you're doing is really helping me. And that kind of planted the seed for me a little bit. It's always nice to hear like, oh, what you're doing is good and blah, blah, blah. And fast forward from that, I went to undergrad. I went to State University of New York. I graduated with a BA in business management, which was ultimately helpful for me. And I had a great experience, but I was kind of lost in terms of what I wanted to do. I got all my gen eds and I went through the whole just undergrad process. And oddly enough, my school was known for nursing. And I used to find myself in the library and I used to sit on the floor and I grabbed like all the anatomy books and I would just flip through and read and look at pictures and, read about the physiology of the body. I always found it fascinating. And then I graduated from State University in New York and I ended up in New York City working corporate, which was so not me. But I didn't know what else to do. And people, that's kind of the route from undergrad, you work in New York City, you do things. So I ended up being a temp. And I worked for MetLife and I worked for one of the 12 officers of MetLife. There's only 12. She was one of them. She was young. She was 38, 39 years old at the time. She was making a lot of money. She was really passionate about what she did. She worked up the ladder. She understood it. She lived it. And I worked for her for a year. I was her executive assistant. And if you've ever seen the movie Devil Wears Prada, that was me. I had a headset on and it was very corporate. I was on the top floor. I had a security scanner deal to get into the building. And one day she called me into her office and she's just like, I'd like to offer you a full-time job. And I was like, thank you. I was gracious, but I don't ever want to be you. So me working here for any longer, because like you always want to work up the ladder, or at least I do. And I never wanted to be her. So I said, I appreciate the opportunity. It's time to move on. So, and she told me, she's like, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. And she was amazing. And she did. She said, find something that you are passionate about and hang your hat on that and learn it well, and you will be successful. And we've all heard that before. I mean, we say it all the time, but it was the truth and I took it to heart. And I sowed my oats for a little bit. I ended up turning down that job. I went on a cross-country trip. I was in nature for a while. And I was kind of thinking, I was like, okay, what's next? What does this mean? And I came up with some things that were important to me. One, I wanted to own my own business. Two, I wanted to be in healthcare, but I wanted to be in natural healthcare. It's always made sense to me. I've always yielded more towards natural things, herbs and good food and, so on and so forth. So I didn't really want to be in a hospital setting. I like to be outdoors and see the sunshine and, swim in the rivers and do all the fun stuff. I didn't want to be in a hospital setting. I wanted to be on purpose. I wanted something I was really passionate about. And I was kind of stuck on that. I was very idealistic in the sense that I was like, I don't want to waste my time. Like I want to do something I'm fired up about. And then, and I wanted to be financially stable. That was important. I wanted to be independently financially stable, really, so that I could do what I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted. So there's that. And I found myself in the public library and I pulled a book called the Occupational Outlook Handbook. I don't know if it's still around, but I flipped through it and I found the things that met the criteria. So the careers that had those things that I just mentioned. And I turned to chiropractic and I was like, oh, chiropractic. Like Dad talks about chiropractic. He's always told me like, you should be a chiropractor, blah, blah, blah. And I read the philosophy. They actually had the philosophy printed in this book, and it said, chiropractors believe that the body has the innate capacity to heal from the inside out when there's no interference to the nervous system. And I was like, bam, that's it. And I closed the book and I was like, what do I need to do to become a chiropractor? Which meant I needed to go back to school for all of my sciences because I had none, which was fine. I did that. I waited tables and I eventually opened a painting business to support myself so that I could go to school and, start all that. And I ended up visiting a lot of chiropractic schools. I went to NYCC because I was like, I'm in New York, might as well go there. I went to CMCC because I was like, that seems like a pretty cool place to live. I went to Oregon. Again, cool place to live. I went to Life College and I went to Northwestern. And I will tell you that I had never been adjusted before at this point. And I went to all of these schools and I was like, something's missing. Like, especially when I went to Western States, I was like, what in the heck is going on? So they said, we're not allowed. I met with the president of the school, Dr. Lamb, at the time, and they said, we're not allowed. We don't say the S word on campus. And I'm like, what the heck is the S word? I've never even heard of subluxation. I don't know what you're talking about at all. Things just felt out of sync. I was very confused as to what chiropractic is, which in and of itself, we know is an issue. And I ended up speaking to my mom's chiropractor, my mom and dad's chiropractor, and they said, you need to go to Life University. I'm like, I don't want to move to Atlanta. Nobody moves to Atlanta. I don't want to go to Atlanta. And they're like, well, you're going, so you need to go. And I was like, okay, I'll go to Atlanta. So I ended up in Atlanta, and I ended up going to an orientation at Life University. And within 5 minutes of stepping on the campus, I was like, I'll be damned, I'm going to end up in Atlanta. This is the school. People were full of life. They were like exuding. They were happy and healthy and hugging and doing all these things. I'm like, who drank the water? What's going on here? I want this. This is amazing. People are alive. They're expressing life. And like, I want that. And then I was inspired by Dr. Sid. I learned his vision, and just the vision that he had by standing on the campus and looking out and around at the land, saying, I want to build a school here. I was just like, that's amazing. And then I learned about DE, and I was like, wow, this guy is somebody I want to be around. I've always sort of I've gravitated towards people that are a little bit different. And for me, like, mediocrity is, I'm not into it. I like people that are a little different. They're passionate on life and they express themselves. And that to me isn't weird. It's something that I like. So I ended up at Life University. Thank God, because I don't know what chiropractor I would become. And I don't know that I would have found my way, although probably, who knows? So after that, I got adjusted. Second quarter, never been adjusted before. So no, I'm a person that suffered from migraines. I used to ski competitively downhill. I was 100 pounds wet in high school, and I skied into things moving very quickly. And I had damage to the neck. I had concussion, whiplash, ended up in migraines. And I had migraines for a long time. I ended up with a kidney infection because just in general, I wasn't healthy. I had sinus infections, UTIs. I had a kidney infection. They gave me Loratab at the time, which you don't find often anymore, thankfully. And it was the first time that I didn't have migraines. And I went through the entire bottle, even though my kidney infection was gone. And I, thank God, didn't refill it, because I was standing in line at the CVS, and I was like, this is how addictions happen. And I went back to having severe migraines every single day for years before I ended up in this whole realm of chiropractic. Fast forward, second quarter, I'm in a technique class, and the person I was teaching it said, who here has never been adjusted? Ha ha ha. And I'm like, well, me. And I ended up getting adjusted, and it was like, bam, like my life changed in that instant. And I never went back. My face flushed out with blood. Like, I was literally like, wow, my face is hot. I feel blood flow to my brain. And life changed. Like the page turned for me, and I've never looked back since then. So somehow I found the real philosophy of chiropractic. Thank God I found Life University. Thank God I found DE, started to get adjusted, because I don't know where I would be now, because we all know what happens to people that suffer from chronic pain, right? This was when I was, 23 years old at this point. So 20 something years ago. Anyway, so that was amazing. And then I started, looking into, okay, what is this chiropractic thing? And I started with MLS, Making Love to Spine, Arnaud Bernier. We set up in a house. There was all these tables, lights were down, and all we were supposed to do was just palpate spines. And it got me used to tuning into tone of the body. What do you feel? What are your fingers sensing? It got me into touching people, right? Like, that wasn't really my deal before. And we touch like for a living. So it got me into touching people, and it got me into the point, finding that little window of peace before you adjust, which is vital at all times. I use it to this day. And I go back to second quarter. I'm like, this is where I got that from. And people say it. They're like, I don't know how you got that to move. And I'm like, I looked for the window. You communicated with me. You're innate to my innate. And I was able to move that bone. You gave me just a little window, and that was amazing. And then I went to DE, and it was around that time, 2006, 2007. And I started to understand the magnitude of chiropractic and the urgency of chiropractic. And it was I was like, this thing is big. And for me, I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy. Like this event has a lot of energy in it. And but the magnitude and the urgency have always stayed with me. Like it was big for me, and now I was stepping into what that means for me moving forward with other people. And DE provided that, and so much more. But it created this foundation and this framework so that you can learn and understand and develop the principle and become friends with amazing chiropractors and absolutely just amazing people. And chiropractors are fun. It's a fun place to be around. After that, for my student clinic, so student clinic wasn't my thing. And luckily I got shipped out to this addiction center called the Extension Center through Life University. It was a 45 male facility. So I was popular. I went as the only female they'd seen in a long time, and I would do blood pressure and do intakes and all this stuff. But then I got to adjust, and I got to adjust a lot of people every single time I went, which was amazing. And what I noticed there was that the people that are suffering from addictions, they've been through a lot. You have to hold the space. You have to have the confidence because it's intimidating. A lot of them are a lot bigger than me, and I'm preaching this principle to them. And I found a loophole because they're not able to take medication for a headache, neck pain, back pain, and they're so out of alignment. The first time that you adjust them, it's like you shift their whole entire universe. And I created a space in there that was really fun. The lady that was mentoring me, that was the doc that oversaw what I did, she's like, do whatever you want. So I used to be like, people would come down, they would trickle in, and I'd be like, bring your friends, come down here, let's get everybody adjusted. And I put the tables in a circle, and I would be like, one person came down with his guitar. I'm like, bring your guitar, bring your Bible. And I made it into this situation that was a healing environment for everybody. But then I was able to preach the principle of chiropractic, which at that time was pretty limited, but it was, the power that made the body heals the body. Your life is going to change after today. Chiropractic should be part of your world always, now and forever, because it reconnects you. We're so disconnected. I ended up working in battered women's shelters. I ended up working volunteering. I wasn't working, volunteering in battered women's shelters. Again, amazing. You get to put your hands on people that have been physically abused and emotionally and verbally abused, and you give them a safe space. And it's tough, and it's very humbling, and your hands, they can't shake, and they have to do the work. They have to find the tone, understand the magnitude, see the urgency, and communicate the principle of chiropractic. After I graduated, I ended up going to the Band of Brothers in Georgia in Rome, Georgia, and I found Lieberman Family Chiropractic, Dr. Brian Lieberman, amazing. So hi, Brian, thank you for everything. I was an associate doc for them, and that in and of itself brought me to a whole nother level. You're walking into a practice that's been there for a long time. You're trying to discover yourself as a chiropractor, making sure that you're doing a good job for the doc that's hired you, making sure that you're doing a good job for yourself. I'm pretty hard on myself. I'm a perfectionist, and I want to understand and communicate well, and I understood how to adjust quickly. He was on me for that, for sure. But I understood, get in, get out. Don't be jibber jabbering. I like to chat. I like to talk. I like to understand who people. That's not my job. That's not why I'm supposed to be there. And he would time me, and he would glare at me, look at me. We had a lot of really hard discussions because he's like, you got to do the job and you have to move on. And one of the things I got stuck on was that sometimes I couldn't clear the spine, right? It was probably my skill at the point. My analysis told me they're not clear yet. And he told me something that I recently passed along to Dr. Perry, which was sometimes you need to give the body a little bit of a chance. Get in there, adjust, do the best you can, and then let them go and let the body do the work. And that is huge. I do it now. I do my best. Sometimes I'm like, listen, I got you to really close. I'm not sure that we got you 100% clear. We need to let the body do the work. Come back tomorrow. Come back in 2 days. This is important. We need to get you clear, right? We need to reconnect you. So that was an amazing experience. And then ended up coming out to Utah. And I thought it was gonna be like a 2-year little stint out here, not a big deal. I like to ski, I like the outdoors. It didn't turn out to be that. I've been here for 15 years. I opened a practice in Salt Lake in 2011. Hit the ground running, knew what to do, know what to say, had my paperwork. Like, I hit the ground running. And as a female chiropractor in Utah, it's patriarchal here. It's a female chiropractor in Utah. Everybody's like, I've never met a female chiropractor before. I'm like, awesome, come in. Like, it doesn't matter, but come in. So men would see me, women would see me, kids would see me. Kids are comfortable seeing me, which as a female, which is great. And so haven't looked back since then. And then recently in 2023, I live in Park City. I work in Salt Lake, and I opened a satellite office here, which is very organically growing. And it's very grassroots in Park City, and I find myself out. So my son had a little league practice today. He gave me his hat for good luck for this talk tonight. And anytime I'm anywhere, grocery store, baseball practice, wherever I am, I'm like, how do I talk chiropractic? How do I get it in that I'm a chiropractor? How do I get it in that I see kids? And it's always like, that's what I'm like itching to do. I'm there, I'm present with my child. Obviously, I'm rooting him on, but I also want to talk chiropractic because I feel as though that's how you spread the message, especially in a small town like Park City. So a little bit about myself, some things that I learned along the way. I have a couple of testimonials that I feel like are they're important, and they're a little bit heavy, but it shows and kind of brings home the magnitude of what we do. And I think prior to talking about the testimonials, I want to speak about our analysis. Like, chiropractic works every time, always, no matter what, but you have to understand how to analyze, detect, and correct subluxation of the spine, where, when, how, when to stop. And if you don't have an analysis, and maybe I'm speaking to students at this point, but if you don't have an analysis that you're comfortable with, find somebody that does. Find something that resonates and learn it and master it, so that when that person is on the table and they're screaming and they're crying and you need to hold the space for that, you know what to do and you know when to stop. Because in these two testimonials, sweating bullets. So a gal came in, she is 20 years old, and I'd been taking care of her for a bit of time. She came in with severe low back pain. She didn't come in originally with that. She wasn't functioning well. She wasn't feeling well. Got her adjusted, did a lot better, and then she herniated a disc. She coughed really hard. Literally, that's how it happened. She had an 11 millimeter disc herniation at L5, 11 millimeters, and an extrusion. She came in a walker. She could not use her left foot. It was turned under like this. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, all right, let's get down on the table. And she was just screaming and crying, blood curdling screaming. And I'm like, yeah, nerve pain is the absolute worst. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't even touch her. And so got her down, went through some of my analysis. I'm like, I'm going to adjust C1. Took one tap with my activator because I couldn't move her. I couldn't toggle her. She wasn't going supine. One tap to the atlas, brought down. She was four degrees off in terms of a temperature gauge that I use. 4 degrees off is a huge amount. Usually people are, I don't know, half a degree to a degree and a half. 2 degrees it's kind of a lot. So 4 degrees is like, what in the heck is going on, right? Got her to where she was cleared, did a couple of things, ended up doing like a prone drop on the atlas, cleared her. And I was like, all right, anytime I went, even if I went down and like hovered over her low back, she started to scream and cry. So we didn't do anything. Got her off the table, using the table to get her up and off and standing, or not really, like kind of standing with a walker. And she's like, all I want to do is sit down on the floor. And I was like, awesome, let's go onto all fours. She did. And then she started doing a cat and a cow. And then she started sitting, and I'm like, how you doing? She's like, I actually am feeling, quite a bit better. Now, I talked to mom. Mom's like, what should we do? I was like, well, here's the deal. Like, she's not functioning. She already been to the ER. She has an extrusion. She has a 4 millimeter disc herniation. She can't use her leg. Like, at some point in time, this is surgery, which takes, and she knows this mom I was talking to, I was like, this takes a lot for me to say. It's hurting me to actually say this, but if this doesn't clear, and in the back of my head, I knew, I was like, this surgery is going to be scheduled for a little bit of time out. If this doesn't clear, this is where we are, right? In some cases, our surgery cases, she can't lose function of her leg. Anyway, I knew in the back of my head, I was like, I've got some days. I had her come in every day. But from there forward, it started to change. She walked out. She's like, I'm doing a little bit better, but she was afraid to say it, right? And then I saw her next time. She walked in. She's like, I'm doing better. No walker. I was so humbled. But that's the power of the innate intelligence and the capacity for the body to heal from C1. It is connected. We know that, we understand it, but just like that kind of brought it home for me. I'm like, that was humbling. That was a lot. I was sweating bullets. I knew exactly what to do. I knew exactly how to move that atlas. And if you don't, you need to figure out how to do it. And then the second case is a heavy one. So I seeing a little boy named Maverick, and he was brought in by mom, who was sent to me through a referral. This is how this happened. And he was shaken when he was 3 months old. I'd never seen a shaken baby because you don't see them, because they usually don't make it. He had a subarachnoid, a subdural hematoma, bleeding, seizuring, frothing at the mouth, in NICU for a couple of months' time. And he came in, and it was an honor just to be able to see him, just to be able to go through the story with mom and say, I respect you. I see you. I hear you. What you have done for him this far is amazing. Chiropractic's another step in a really amazing direction. Like, he's never going to be the same after this. And he was kind of like holding onto her hand, and he was slanted, and he couldn't walk without her holding. And it was like this weird sort of, stature and everything. And he's a year and a half at this point. And, I adjusted him. So just the fact that this little baby let me touch his neck, right? Like, he was shaken, and his neck had all this damage to it. Just the fact that this little baby allowed me to look at him, to hold him, to adjust him. Like, I had so much gratitude for that. And lots of times we see a lot of things and we lose that gratitude that I feel like we always should have to honor that, and to be like, I am so grateful I have the capacity to put my hands on you to deliver a life-changing adjustment. And I did. And he walked out. I mean, he walked out, like, and it was not like, it was kind of like, didn't hold her hand and was walking. And she's like, okay. She's like, that's different. Came in the next time, and she's like, well, he's walking now. She's just like, I don't know if it was a coincidence. And I don't usually do this, but I was like, let's give like, we need to acknowledge that he was adjusted and now he was walking. And she's just like, yes, I agree with that. So this little baby is walking. He's starting to talk. He's a functioning little boy. And we don't get to see babies that are in that capacity. And I felt like I was just, that blew me away, and it was amazing. So anyway, I want to leave you guys with a quote, and this is a combination of some things that I put together while I was at the last DE in Clearwater. So I might have stolen some of this from some of the people, or I combined it and then I added some stuff, and I really like it. I've been reading it every day, and I want to read it to you guys. So, love louder, appreciate deeper, tell the truth, love the principle, understand the principle, develop it, and spread the word so people can live free and clear. Life is now. I'm going to read it one more time. Love louder, appreciate deeper, tell the truth, love the principle, understand the principle, develop it, and spread the word so people can live free and clear. Life is now. So, bam, carried on. I hope you guys got something from this conversation. I appreciate you all. I love all of the people that I get to speak to and talk to at DE. And I think it's amazing. I tell people to go all the time. And I appreciate you all. So thank you.
Bam! Yeah, you are excellent. Your
Well, thank you.
story of your journey is fabulous. I love the fact that your father saw it in you before you ever saw it in you. But
Planted
you
that
still
seed.
had it. You still had it in there.
Yeah.
And in fact, you open up a book that tells you what chiropractic is, because sometimes you look at a book now that are in schools and it doesn't tell you what chiropractic is.
Thank God. And it was so powerful. I read it. I was like, that is it.
So maybe that should be on college applications for chiropractic schools before they even put their name on the. They might not know that's where they're going. They might go somewhere else.
Absolutely, I agree. Totally.
Well, it sounds to me that this DE was something that you needed.
Yep. Absolutely.
That you brought something home that you brought back to your people that has made a difference for you. And I also like the fact that when you first started off, you didn't really know what to say what chiropractic is. So you just said what chiropractic is to everybody. And it was short, it was simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all need to stay on that message, that our message is powerful, but it's short and simple, and don't put a lot of other words in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So appreciate what you gave to us tonight. I love and appreciate you. And I can't wait to see you at the next DE.
Thank you, Mindy.
And I hope your son's team has a great season.
Yep.
I'm rooting for the 99s.
99 90s. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Night.